Hi, in this video we're going to go over how to install Puppet Enterprise onto Ubuntu 16.04 Linux. And to do this I'm using a MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro looks a lot like this. Here's a summary of the MacBook Pro running Sierra on here. 2.5 gigahertz Intel Core i7, 16 gigs of memory. So I'm confident that this MacBook Pro will work well for this task. We're using Virtualbox here. So I have two machines here that are freshly installed. One is a Windows 10 machine here, and one is Ubuntu. I'm going to put Puppet Enterprise onto Ubuntu. So it's important, though, to get these machines set up. Ubuntu needs 100 gigs of disk space, and it needs about 4 gigabytes of memory. So let's go through the settings on how these machines are set up with Virtualbox. And on this system here, you can see memory is about 4 gigs. I have it on ICH9 chipset. I have 4 processors, 4 cores in this MacBook Pro. I'm using 2 cores for the VM for Puppet. And this is important to have the PAE NX enabled. So that's how all this is set up. For acceleration, nothing. Display, I went to 128 megabytes on display, and I use 3D acceleration. So that's about that. The storage here, this is something you create when you create the VM. This is about 100 gigabytes there, and that's about it. So the Windows machine is set up the same way. If we take a look at the settings for that, it's exactly the same. I have less memory in here, only 2 gigs of memory, 2 processors, and it's also on 3D video on the Windows machine. So I found that these settings work quite well for running a machine under Virtualbox on the MacBook Pro. Importantly, on both machines is the networking. So here on the Windows machine, you want to use bridge adapter with the Wi-Fi, and because I want to get to the Wi-Fi router I have and use static IPs that are delivered out by DHCP. So we'll cover that in a second. Ubuntu, the same thing with settings. If you look at network, bridge adapter. So it's really important to get this part right. And when you're doing it, you want to get your MAC address out. This MAC address is assigned by Virtualbox itself, and so I want to put this MAC address into my Wi-Fi router. So let's get to the Wi-Fi router part, and you want to get these addresses stable. So when you do a DHCP boot on either the Linux machine, Ubuntu 16.04, or Windows, you want to have a steady address delivered by DHCP. So let's take a look at how that works. Let's get into the Wi-Fi router here. There it is, 1.1. Well, that didn't work. Okay, here's the Wi-Fi router. This is ddwrt.com. It's a really good open source software to put into a router. It can stay up for a long time, up 8 days. I've had this stuff running on other folks' routers. It's been up almost a year without a power failure. So anyway, go into services here. And once you're in services, you want to take a look at the DHCP server. And here I have static leases set up. So here's that same MAC address from Virtualbox. So I'll show you again how Virtualbox works with that. Here is the MAC ID from Virtualbox. So here you see it ends in 8C9F. And sure enough here, 8C9F. And so you want to call this machine Puppet. Puppet is the default out of the box for the Puppet master server, so call it Puppet. I just put an address here on my subnet. The Windows 10 machine, the same thing. I call it Windows 10 VM1. That's what will be assigned to this machine once it boots. So I probably don't care what I name the machine in Windows, but we'll see. So that's how that's set up, and these machines will DHCP boot, and Puppet gets that IP. But what's more importantly is in DNS on this Wi-Fi router that Puppet resolves and this name resolves. So that's pretty important for this this demo and in production. So let's now get into the server we're going to use for the Puppet installation, Puppet Enterprise. This is Ubuntu Linux 16.04-2. Let's get on here. So the first thing you do when you're using VirtualBox is you want to install software on this thing that VirtualBox has that gives this thing a greater compatibility with VirtualBox. And those are called VirtualBox extensions or additions. So to do that, I'll go off screen here and I'll say on VirtualBox VM, I'll say devices. You can see it here in the corner. Install guest additions. So I'll do that, and that'll mount the CD to this VM that has these additions in it. You'll see it'll try and run. I'll cancel it. So we'll go to root here, and now we're on root, which is good. Let's take a look at what's here. Let's go to this media thing here. So CD media okay, and we have this VirtualBox additions script here we can run, which will install all the VirtualBox stuff and modify the kernel of this VM to have the VirtualBox extensions additions in it. So let's do that. Do a copy on that and a paste. And this will run for a moment. So this is important to have. This will give you bidirectional cut and paste from the Mac, which is a host computer. So the MacBook Pro is hosting VirtualBox, and so if I wanted to bring up something on the Mac and then cut and paste it to this virtual machine, I can do that. It's really handy to have. But the other way I like to get in these VMs is I want to use SSH from the Mac. So the Mac has something called iTerm. Okay, so iTerm brings up a little terminal like this. This is iTerm here, and we can SSH into the Puppet machine with that. So now we've installed these extensions. That's a good practice. Let's do an apt-get on this thing. So go back home here. Doesn't matter really, but apt-get install SSH. We really want to get SSH on here. So with SSH on the Puppet machine, we can go from the Mac and not use the console. This whole screen here is the console, and I don't know, I mean, it's pretty and all that, but it is the console, and it's kind of just obnoxious to use it. So the better way I like to do it is bring up a terminal from the MacBook itself, which is on the MacBook and running on Mac OS, and this terminal is pretty cool. So let's do an SSH to Puppet, and it doesn't work. It's because I've done this before and the keys don't match. So I'm going to remove this file here, which has the keys in it. Just remove it and try it again. Okay, now we can get in. So we're in the machine now, it has Puppet. So the next key here, next thing to do is we want to get Puppet software on here, the Puppet Enterprise software. So I do have that installed on a Raspberry Pi here, and I want to get it. I downloaded from Puppet into Raspberry Pi here at home. So SCP -P for port. And let's see. 58. So now I have to get the name of this software here. And what's it called? I got it right there. So let's get a hold of that. Do a copy off that window. Just get the name of the file here. Do a paste onto this window. There's the file name we want with the Puppet stuff in it. And copy to the current directory. So there we go. And I'm at home on a Wi-Fi here at home. It takes time even here at home on the Wi-Fi, only 10.9 megabytes a second, which I suppose is fast enough, but you'd want to get like 100 megabytes, right, at home. Why not? Okay, so once we get Puppet on this enterprise machine, we want to install it. And that's kind of laborious, but let's install Puppet now. So unzip. It's going to zip it, undo it. Let's do a tar on it. Extract all the stuff. There we go. Now, go to become root on this terminal. Now we're root. Let's get into Puppet installer. Go into this directory here. So now to install Puppet, you want to run this little script here, install Puppet Enterprise Installer. And we'll run that now. So what I found is guided install is horrible. It brings up a web engine, basically, like Nginx or HTTP or Glassfish or something. It brings up basically a web engine, and you have to use a browser like Firefox or Chrome or something, and it just doesn't work. It blows up. So after doing this a few times, I found the text mode is the best way. It doesn't blow up and it works. So let's use text mode here, and it immediately puts you to an editor because it wants options to be figured out. So now we're in this file, and we have to assign the console password to the public console. So put a password in here. I'm going to use admin, very secure, but unforgettable. And now these components down here are what you would use if you had a split installation. So if I had, say, one computer with Puppet Master on it, I had one computer with the console on it, and one with PuppetDB. That's all nice, well and good in a production environment. I'm not production, I'm just a demo here. So in this case, everything is running on one server. So I'm not going to touch those settings. I'm going to come down to their comment. So these are basically commented out in a loop that way. This one's not, which is the way it should be. Going to come down here. The database, all this stuff I found, if I uncomment all these things, it works. So uncomment all these options. And this is through a few different trial and errors in this thing. Okay, and that's all I do in this file. If I go down further, I don't do anything here. I don't touch these down here, don't touch them. And down here, I don't touch this either. So that's how to configure this thing out of the box if you want to run it on one VM for a demo, or just try it out. So that's about it. So if you right quit out of here and do a right quit, what you'll see now is the installation will start. So let's max out the window here and start this thing going. Yes, start it up. So this Puppet install does take a good long time. Why? I don't know. Maybe my computer is not powerful enough, but it does take time. So it might be interesting to watch the install progress by logging into the Puppet server again with another terminal and seeing how far it goes. Let's try that. Let's log into this thing and just do a top and see what's going on here. So Puppet is using all my CPU at this point to install itself on this Puppet master server. So looks like it's doing a depackage, getting some software. Anyway, this might take 5 minutes, might take 10. It takes a long time, so bear with me. I'm sorry, this is like watching paint dry, but the paint's got to dry. So Let's dry the paint. I guess we could work on the Windows Server right now, but why confuse things? We'll do this step by step. Let this thing come up. So as you can see, the script has a lot of installation that Puppet does. It's pretty comprehensive. Looks like it's working on the DB now. So they use Postgres. I just saw Postgres come up. And looks like they're installing more stuff with Puppet itself. So they actually use Puppet to install stuff on the machine, which is pretty ingenious, but it's a Puppet Enterprise server, so why not use Puppet, right? Okay, this looks good. So this thing stalled when I tried it before. I had tried getting a demo video going before, and it just stalled. So maybe we'll get a good install this time. So if the screen is moving, that's a good thing. Yeah, I think I stalled last time when it was doing this Java stuff. It just kind of quit. So let's see what happens this time. So it's using both CPUs. Puppet's able to use both CPUs on my, you can see it's using about, I don't know, it's using 2 CPUs pretty well there at 160%. Java can do that though. Java JVM can use n number of CPUs. Java is multi-threaded, so that's pretty cool about Java. So I probably should have given this thing 4 CPUs, but 4 cores. But I wanted to have something reserved for my Mac. I don't want my Mac coming down to its knees. MacBook. This MacBook is a 2011, and I'm feeling the top surface of it. It's getting pretty hot, so it doesn't burn my fingers, but a little hotter it could burn my fingers. This thing is running hot. Fans are on, which it does when it's really being stressed out. So Puppet Enterprise just takes a long time to install on a small VM, so you need some patience. So later on in the video, we're going to install Chocolatey. We're going to pull that from the Puppet Forge repository, and we're going to put Chocolatey on the Puppet Master, and then we're going to get the agent installed on the Windows machine. And once the agent is on the Windows machine, then we'll start using Chocolatey to install some common things in the Windows machine, show you folks how that would work. So since we're waiting here, let's work on the Windows machine a bit. So let's go back into VirtualBox and try to get the Windows machine ready. Let's start it up. This one here, start it. Here it comes. So on the Windows machine, you first want to make sure it's set up cleanly, just like the Puppet Enterprise Master. And if you're running VirtualBox, you again want to install the VirtualBox editions on the Windows machine. So we'll say install guest editions the same way. I'm not going to take an update from Windows, don't care about it. Let's jump on to VirtualBox editions. Going to run this. Go ahead and change it. Change it. Okay. This will put VirtualBox editions on the Windows VM. I probably don't need these, but it just allows cut and paste between the VM and the Mac to work. And it gives Windows a good display driver, which works really, really well with the Mac. So I just want to get this all installed before we get along too far. So what happened here? Okay, it's done. Let's reboot it. That'll reboot Windows. How's our install Puppet going here? Not done yet. Okay, here's Windows rebooting. Of course, I'm probably slowing down my Virtualbox install by running Windows here. Okay, Windows is up. There's probably nothing else I want to do on here right now. So I'm going to quiesce Windows and save it. And give Virtualbox back CPU for running this other machine here. So we're still waiting for Puppet to finish here. It's taking its own time. I don't really see that it's doing anything right now. So looks like mCollective is running a bit. Hopefully we're going to drop back to a prompt here pretty soon and this thing will be done. Then I think we're going to reboot the Ubuntu 16.04 VM. So once this thing's done, I'm going to try and get the agent onto the Windows machine, and I saved some files here. Okay, there we go. Look at that. That's bad. Failed to call refresh. Command exceeded timeout. Well, is that going to kill us, the PuppetDB? I almost think this thing's done. Let's see what Puppet stuff's running right now. So I haven't had much trouble installing this thing until now, of course, because there's a demo. So, okay, there it goes. I don't see anything Puppet running yet, really, at all. Oh, there's some stuff. Okay, well, looks like there's some Puppet running, right? So, that's a good sign. I think we're going to get ourselves a Puppet Enterprise server here pretty quick. What do you think? So, yeah, we got a lot of Puppet stuff working here. Install log. I just got a slow machine, that's all. This thing is really heating up. So they're using Java again. CPU is high. Looks like we're still going. Anyway, this is how to install Puppet Enterprise on Ubuntu 16.04 Linux. Again, I'm installing from this top window here and watching the CPU time in the bottom window. Kind of watching paint dry, but this is how it goes. I think when I've done this before, I've just let it run and walked away from it. I wasn't really filming it, so I really don't know how long this takes. Seems like it didn't take that long. Looks like it's working on the console service now. I wonder if we can log into the console yet. What do you think? You want to try it? Let's try it. So, how would I get in the Puppet console? Just like that. Does it work? Haha. So, it's working. Nope, not yet. So, Puppet does use Nginx for a web engine. Isn't that cool? It's not ready yet. So we gotta wait. Not secure. Bad gateway. Yeah, bad gateway. You'll see that with Nginx when it's not set up right. So they have that web server running right now, but it's not ready yet. So what's going on now? Oh, look at that. So failed to apply catalog, cannot contact a node manager. So that's interesting, Virtualbox. That's not good. I've seen that problem before too. So it's trying to connect to ourselves. I think I got rid of this by doing this. Let's see. VI. Probably should have done this off the get-go. I definitely want to get that out of there. Because I'm coming in from DHCP, I don't want to have anything in hosts at all. So that's bad. Get that out. Okay. I'm going to reboot the Puppet server now, and hopefully it'll all come through fine. Let's reboot it. I'm going to close off this window. Reboot, and now it should get everything from DHCP. It could have made the certificates wrong. I hope it didn't, but it might have. I might have made a fatal error and not deleted that Puppet stuff out, or that host file entry out. I probably should have done that before I installed this stuff, but let's see what happens here anyway. So, rebooting. Here's the reboot. Rebooting the Puppet server now. Boy, it's taking a while. It doesn't usually hang like this. Although Ubuntu could just be dead. Let's see. Power off the machine. Let's restart Puppet server. Here. Start it up again. And let's see how we do. Whoa, it's not good. Turned it off too soon. So if you ever see it cleaning files, it's a bad sign. So I turned it off too soon. Looks like it's doing a file system rebuild. Okay, so whenever you see it rebuilding files, it's a good idea to reboot it again. So let's reboot this thing one more time to make it clean. So I don't like it. Okay, I'm able to resolve host JFall Virtualbox. Interesting. So that's a fatal problem. So, let's see, host name. That's bad. I'm going to change this to Puppet. Here we are. Let's reboot it. And I'm not sure why this thing never shuts down right. Just waits. Unless Puppet's hanging it. So the machine is still up and running, even though I'm trying to shut it down. Wonder if I can SSH into it. Nope. So I'm not sure why this thing is hanging, but let's kill it. Power up. It's probably gonna have some bad files again. Bad inodes. Yep, of course. Okay, now we're back up. Let's make sure our machine is called Puppet now. Okay. Yep, we're called Puppet. Ping myself. Yep, that works. So that's more reasonable. And if I sudo su, okay, good, it doesn't complain anymore. So I don't think we put SSH on here. Let's do that. Apt get. Oops, I want to say install. So the reason why I want SSH on here, it's already there, is because I want to get into this machine from my Mac, and the Mac is hosting this thing, so let's get into the machine this way. Okay, now I'm using iTerm with the Mac, this is iTerm with the Mac, and we're getting into Puppet that way. So now it's time to verify Puppet's working. One way to verify Puppet's working is you log into it with a web browser to the console. So now we're going to try and log into the Puppet machine with a console. Let's Puppet just like that. There it goes. Admin. So now we're on the Puppet console. I hope. I'm saying login and it's not doing a thing. Let's refresh it. Admin. Password. Admin. Log in. So that's a bad sign that this thing is not going to go at all. Not secure. I wonder if it's a problem with the cert because I logged in too early. Let's see. What if I use the Apple browser to get in? Let's try using the other browser, which is called Safari. Yes, Puppet. Well, okay, that didn't work. I don't want Puppet.com. Okay, certificate, continue. lock on. Nope. So it's not a browser problem. Okay. So what I'm going to try now is a reboot. I'm going to halt the machine. And Ubuntu usually when it halts it sits here and spins like this. And I'm getting some CPU from something here, so let's say that's halted. Powered off. Let's power it, close the terminal and power it back on. Well, this isn't a very promising video for you folks. I thought this would go a lot smoother. But with live events, it's sometimes not smooth. And this installation of Ubuntu seems like it's corrupted or something. It's just not going so well. So here we should have Puppet up and running. Let's take a look. So it's going. There's a lot of it running here. So let's try the console once again. Okay, so this installation is a failure and I'm going to start over. So this is how bad it can go. Thanks for watching and have a great day.